corruption family after 10 long years of waiting. And I could not be happier to report this to you guys. So apparently, according to John Solomon, Just the News, a trove of whistleblower evidence has been hand delivered from Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, who have been investigating this for weeks now. They've given it over to the Senate Judiciary Committee, and it's set to be released later this week. Now, we don't have the full report, but we do have an overview and some of the allegations that are alleged in this evidence, which we're going to go over in just a moment. But first, be sure to click like and subscribe to this channel. And I want to give a special shout out to this channel's very first and only member, Suzette VI. It's you and me against the world, baby. We're going to take this world by storm. So we open memberships here on this channel. You can join the 9-Foot Council on the homepage, and it's going to give you badges and special emojis and things. When we do live streams, you'll look really cool. And it's just a way of saying thanks if you support what we do here. However, you don't have to. I'm not going to put anything behind a paywall, but it's up to you guys if you want to do it. So the option's there. Now, let's go ahead and get right into this explosive story. Again, this is from Just the News. Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel have produced to Congress a new cache of documents showing how Bill and Hillary Clinton's foundation collected donations from foreign and domestic interests seeking influence. Officials told Just the News that the documents were transmitted to the Senate Judiciary Committee in recent days and detail numerous instances of foreigners and even a U.S. defense contractor seeking to curry favor with the Clintons through donations to their family charity, including when Hillary Clinton served as Secretary of State. The official said some of the evidence was flagged by whistleblowers who claimed such evidence was kept from a corruption investigation that was being conducted in 2015 by the Little Rock, Arkansas U.S. Attorney's Office before it was shut down by the Obama administration's Justice Department. The documents will make clear that there was an effort to obstruct legitimate inquiries into the foundation by blocking real investigation by line-level FBI agents and DOJ field prosecutors and keeping them from following the money, said one official directly familiar with the documents. Bondi and Patel hope to make the documents public by as soon as the end of the week, once they work through some issues protecting whistleblower identities. So all this evidence is being investigated by the Senate Judiciary Committee, and I believe that this is part of the Southern District of Florida grand jury that's going on investigating Brennan and Comey and the grand conspiracy to defraud Donald Trump and undermine his presidency with the Russian collusion hoax. Because this all intertwines together when you're trying to put together like a grand conspiracy and rope in all these different players and show how they collaborated together. What they're showing here is that Madam Corruption herself, the queen of the deplorables, was using her position as Secretary of State to act as a vending machine for foreign influence. Saudi Arabia, Qatari sheiks, U.S. defense contractors, they were laundering millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation and then securing U.S. defense contracts and uranium deals, thanks to Hillary pulling some strings for them to make that happen. And then Obama comes into the picture as well in this grand conspiracy because he shut down the U.S. Attorney's Office in Little Rock, Arkansas, that was following the money and investigating the Clinton Foundation. And there was also 3 separate FBI probes looking into the same thing. But Sally Yates, the Deputy Attorney General under Obama, put an end to it and put a stop to it. So they covered for the Clintons. Meanwhile, at the same time, the Obama administration authorized and greenlit the Clinton campaign to create the Russian collusion hoax. So when you put all the pieces together, it does kind of start to look like there was a grand conspiracy to overthrow Donald Trump, the duly elected president of the United States, and that these people have a trail of crimes that they commit themselves, many of which are the exact same things they accused him of doing. Now, again, this is hot off the press and details are limited here, but we do know that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi have confirmed that they've been looking into this for a number of weeks, that whistleblowers have come forward and signed affidavits of all this evidence, and that it's been turned over to the Senate Judiciary Committee, who's going to further investigate and possibly recommend criminal charges here. So this is all unfolding, and we also are being told that this full report is going to be dropped later this week. And of course, we're going to cover it every step of the way. That's what we do here at this channel. We tell you the story that the mainstream media won't. So that's why you should definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Turn the bell notifications on so you never miss an update. If you want to become a member of this channel, you can do so at the home page of this channel by clicking join, and you can be a member of the 9-Foot Council.
Okay, that was Nick. I want to play Benny's video. We got a few of his videos. Billy came out with 17.
What's up, guys? Spenny. I traveled all week last week. Multiple hours I spent waiting on a tarmac, sitting on a plane. Every flight was delayed. Every single time I went into an airport, it was a nightmare. Long lines, exhausted personnel, and a government shutdown that is grinding America to a halt. And also that Democrats can give criminal aliens a bunch of free healthcare and goodies to stay in this country and rig elections. Total flight delays, 17,000. Ladies and gentlemen, cancellations in the United States, 2,000 total cancellations today, 2,087 flights. This is just one element of the government shutdown that has caused extreme pain and suffering for Americans. We're not paying our military. We're not paying our veterans' services. There's so many functions of the federal government that is ground to a halt. And while the nihilists and or anarchists might say, no more government, frankly, I mean, the reality is President Trump, to have a successful presidency, needs to have a government open to be able to go about the business of his agenda.
Okay, there you are.
That's it. If you want to run on an agenda of the entire federal government getting unplugged, do that. But right now, this is a bit of a catastrophic event for President Trump because he can't get anything passed. They can't do anything. And that's going to make it look like President Trump isn't able to govern. That's the strategy here from Democrats. And you can see that that was always the strategy. It was always political because now Democrats are starting to recognize, especially vulnerable Democrats, that this isn't going over well with their constituencies. Push this through to November and the holidays, and you'll have a absolute and total American revolution on your hands. Push this through. No one's going to care about parties. No one's going to care about Trump. If like a few Democrat senators don't come together and end the government shutdown right now, and this pushes forward, it's only like 2 weeks to Thanksgiving. And this pushes forward through that, and Americans are unsafe traveling for their holiday season. Trust me, every senator will lose their seat, and they'll all deserve to. Senate has now moved towards ending the government shutdown as travelers deal with major flight disruptions. Trump pressures air traffic controllers to get back to work now. Donald Trump effectively saying the government shutdown is about to end. Let's read. The end of the shutdown is close. President Trump last night.
We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come into our country. And I think the Democrats understand that. And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. You'll know very soon. Thank you very much.
So what happened last night? What happened last night was a procedural vote passed with 60 votes. That's 8 Democrats siding with Republicans in order to reopen the government. Every side had to give a little bit. That's just the way that politics works here. California Governor Gavin Newsom is shrieking about this. Democrats are losing their damn minds that the government is reopening. That just goes to show the whole ball game there, right? Total mask off. Senator Republicans were joined by 7 Democrats and 1 independent, so 8 real Democrats on Sunday night, to vote on a stopgap measure that would allow the government funding to resume until late January. The breakthrough deal ended the deal to end the 40-day government impasse came as a major hurdle. 60-40 Democrat vote. Around 11 p.m. at night, the House will convene on Monday to send the bill to President Trump's desk. The shutdown left 42 million Americans with no access to their SNAP benefits. We'll cover that in just a moment. Forced airlines to cancel thousands of flights. Million federal workers, including our military, without incomes, and it's not good. Although I agree that, of course, SNAP benefits should be cut absolutely to the bone, and that the vast majority of the federal workforce is unnecessary. I don't want our military to go without pay. Some Democrats applauded the breakthrough. Gavin Newsom shrieked, "Pathetic. America deserves better," Newsom says. "This isn't a deal, it's a surrender. Don't bend the knee." California Democrat Ro Khanna demanded that Chuck Schumer resign. Oh, yeah, baby. Come on. Let the infighting happen. 7 Democrats and 1 independent Dick Durbin of Illinois, he's retiring, by the way. Jean Shaheen of New Hampshire, John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada. So both Nevada Democrat senators, that Nevada's a red state, they both voted to end it. Maggie Hassan, also of New Hampshire, so both Democrat senators from New Hampshire also voting. These are red states with 2 Democrat senators. There are no blue states with Republican senators. That doesn't happen. That never happens, right? New York doesn't have a Republican senator. There are only red states that are dumb enough or corrupt enough to send Democrat senators to the Senate. Nevada's one of them. New Hampshire, ladies and gentlemen, also one of them. Jackie Rosen of Nevada, Angus King of Maine. Maine is just one of those weird states, you know? It's like,
Harry.
he says he's an independent, but he caucuses with the Democrats. Anyway, the point is, I never thought that shutting down the government, leveraging against Republicans, this has been proven the case. I think everybody felt like we needed to do something to get this shutdown over. This is the desired result. All right. Let's see what happens next. What's the deal consist of, effectively? Legislation will protect federal workers from baseless firings, reinstate those who have been wrongfully terminated during the shutdown, and ensure federal workers receive back pay as required by law. This is a critical step. All right. There's Gavin Newsom. Pathetic. Here's other libs shrieking.
Went into this after a blue wave out of the American people saying, we do want the opposition. We the working people want the Democratic Party to fight for them. And now they just caved and surrendered. I think Chuck Schumer, his days are over. If he cannot keep his caucus together, he needs to go. He needs to be replaced.
All right. Look at them arguing on behalf of the shutdown. They want the shutdown. The only thing the Schumer shutdown accomplished was alerting Americans that 59% of legal-headed households get taxpayer-funded welfare. Great job. Great job, Chuck. That's exactly right. Look, the purple lines are illegal-headed households. 59% of them get welfare. Got to go home, you know? You got to go home, right? You don't belong here. You got to go home. President Trump recommended $10,000 bonus for air traffic controllers who didn't take any time off for their distinguished service to the country. The shutdown was just about the election. That's exactly right. These are the senators. The Democrats, again, are raging at this. I told my wife weeks ago that this was all fake. It was to inflict pain before the election so that it would be resolved within a week. And it looks like it's all a game. That's right. And Democrats are now screaming. This is a Republican shutdown. Also, Democrats, I'm in total shock that our party would cave to Republicans and reopen the government. Yeah, that's right. There's raging. Democrats melt down, call for Chuck Schumer's ouster after deal for government shutdown clears hurdle. Here we go, Ro Khanna. Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't fight to stop healthcare premiums from skyrocketing, what will you fight for? Tonight is another example of why we need new leadership. So here's a bunch of Democrats calling for Chuck Schumer out and AOC in. Come on, put AOC. I want it. I want it now. Put AOC in charge of the Senate. I want it. I need it. I need it. Chuck Schumer is utterly defeated on the Senate floor. His own party members caved. Massively low energy. He knows that this is the end and the left is gunning for his seat. Trump shut the government down longer than any president in American history. Took political hostages. Chuck is not doing well. Doesn't look good. Maybe he's been eating some of those raw hamburgers that he's been grilling. Chuck Schumer not built for this moment. And here's the poly market odds on this. Looks like it's way up past 80%. Officially, ladies and gentlemen, this is a massive, massive win. I will say it's been annoying for me. 87% that the government shuts down November 12th through 15th. So that would be in just a few days. So that's at 87% right now. You know what? It's been beautiful, guys. But it's also been proven here live on CNN that this was, once again, done in order to hurt the American people for politics. It's a matter of fact. Here's Scott Jennings at CNN.
Republicans going to use leverage in their fight with Democrats when the Democrats are actually the ones with the upper hand in the eyes of voters.
Oh, I'm sure Democrats will be more than happy to open the government now. The election's over. I mean, part of the reason they shut it down was to get through tonight.
I mean, I
would suspect they'll open it up by the end of the week.
Adam Schiff, he was like, hold the line. AOC,
there's lots of rumors of people wanting to open it.
Look, I don't see what is the incentive for Democrats to back down when voters are basically saying Trump's not doing enough. It's the Republicans' fault. And then they basically handed the keys in this past election to the Democrats. Where's the leverage?
Again, these are blue states electing Democrats, not a shock. Democrats clearly wanted this shutdown to get through Election Day. I do think they are facing pressure from their internal coalitions. The unions, the air traffic controllers, the government employee unions are desperate to get the government back open.
Yeah. Correct. Spot on. Never said that about a CNN clip, but well done, Scott Jennings, as ever. My take on the government shutdown is this, just like a lot of different things. I want the Trump agenda. Trump has to be able to govern in order for us to win in 2028, in order for America First to continue as a viable political movement. And this is the most powerful coalition ever built. And in order to do that, you have to get rid of the obscene and obnoxious distractions. Some of those are self-inflicted. And you have to be able to govern. And to do that, you have to have the government open. Right? So this is a great and good result. Okay? As much as I want the policies of future administrations to be as little government as humanly possible. That needs to be the next policies.
Well,
but as for now,
Billy B,
it's a good
next.
result. Subscribe anyway, share and subscribe. See ya.
Oh, wait. Yeah, we better do it. We'll come back and do. Shoot. Let's do this one quick.
Beautiful day in Mar-a-Lago, folks. Tremendous day. Sunshine, freedom, and no censorship. You don't get that in California anymore.
Donnie, good to see you. Great course. You ever thought of putting up solar panels and windmills?
I put up towers, not taxpayer tanning beds. Straight into the desert, just like your economy. Maybe next time try hitting it past the unemployment line.
That was a practice swing, Donnie. Turn the cameras off.
Yeah, just like your pandemic response. Whole state shut down while you were out sipping wine. Quite frankly, unbelievable. Boom. The ball flew faster than Californians escaping to Florida.
Maybe slow down, Donnie.
Slow down? How about you slow down your homeless problem, Newscom? You close beaches but open nail salons for your stupid donors. You're a disgrace, total disgrace.
Donnie, please slow down. You're scaring me.
Well, at least you got the jab. Am I right, folks?
It's about public health, Donnie. I saved lives with mandates.
You saved lives? No, you saved dinner reservations. The mask for thee, but not for me, champion of the world. You're like a stupid person, and then you caught COVID 3 times yourself. I was actually scared for you. COVID and baby TDS, quite frankly, not a good mix.
We followed the science, Donnie. I was the only governor doing the right thing.
The science? You followed CNN, the fake news. I called it the Chinese virus because it's from China. Look at that. California fairway, fully vaccinated and still on fire. You mandate masks, but forgot sprinklers.
We're simply just adapting to climate change, Donnie.
You're adapting to incompetence. You left the state, took selfies in Napa, and your citizens roasted marshmallows off power lines.
Hey, can you
Beautiful
please
branding,
send,
Camp Newsom.
Billy Bean
Unbelievable.
Thanks, I can't.
Are you a stupid person? Even your golf club is fleeing from you.
Maybe the course needs equitable golf clubs and more DEI workers.
Great idea. Build tiny apartments in the pond. Call it affordable housing by the splash. Unbelievable, Newscom. Unbelievable.
You're so obnoxious, Donnie.
See that new scum? Tremendous form. Gavin, you know, golf, it's like politics. Some people, they just can't handle it. Total losers. My opponents get what I call baby Trump derangement syndrome. So sad, it's like socialism. It first starts in your mind, and then eventually the body goes with it. Believe me, unbelievable. Boom, hole in one. Maybe nothing like it in baby history ever.
That was for Bogey Donnie.
Fake scorekeeping. Even the fake news CNN over there agrees with me. Hey, you're not too bad, Newscom. Just kidding, you're terrible, but you have decent hair. Not as good as mine, but not bad.
Thanks. Hey, maybe I'll invite you to California next time.
No thanks. My power grid working and my people free.
Oh, I had a lot of views on that one. Okay. Thanks, Kay. So we got, hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to get my settings restored tomorrow. I'm not sure what time. Okay. Oh, she had two of them? I got the 16 one and then so hard doing this without my settings. I gotta hopefully get tomorrow. Okay, yep, we got a 16 one and a short one. Thanks, Kay.
About 10 a.m. And we'd like to say happy Veterans Day and God bless our vets and everyone in our military right now. Some of the sources I'll use today: God in the Bible, Patriot subscribers, Cyber Signal, Hal Turner, Martin Armstrong, Joshua Phillip, BP Earthwatch, New York Prepper Plus. Some of the things we'll cover: X5 could give us a G5. And Atlas has made a U-turn, we understand. President Trump has placed the U.S. now on a war footing. And we know there's plenty of evil in the world. And the U.S. is gut punching the Sinaloa cartel. So let's get started. I'm going to begin with space weather. So we have Earth, the sun, and what's coming in. This morning about 5 a.m., we had a X-flare 5, very strong. We're hearing predictions of a G4 to a G5. We currently now have 3 CMEs inbound to hit the Earth. That'll be November 11 through 12. That could affect our satellites, GPS plus. And some of these CMEs could become what's called a cannibal CME, where one or more merge with one another. So that's going on. And we have this. Radio blackouts occurred this morning from the X-flare 5 in Europe and Africa. So that's going on. And we have this. So regarding Atlas, we understand Atlas now has made a U-turn and is heading toward Earth. Avi Lowe, geophysicist with Harvard, says that Atlas is traveling with a group of objects, and indeed, that is what we're seeing.
I had to restream
Ivy
again.
Lowe and BP Earthwatch both say that Atlas is cloaked. And they're giving similar drawings. Adapt 2030 also brought out a image of Atlas, something like this, and that's similar to what we're seeing with BP Earthwatch's image. And Adapt 2030 puts out that this image of Atlas matches up with prehistoric petroglyphs that are recorded on a global basis. And I would agree with that. So we understand, and I've put out before, that the Earth goes through cycles. Generally every 13,000, 26,000 years. So it's believable that Atlas has appeared before during these cycles of impact with space and space objects, and that Atlas has been seen before. So we have that going on. We're also getting reports of more outgassing and acceleration by Atlas. It has changed speed. It has changed course. New York Prepper reported it had made a U-turn and is heading toward Earth. Globally, most people do not believe that Atlas is a comet.
Own a vacation rental? If it's not listed on Booking.com, it's invisible to millions of travelers on our platform. Don't let your vacation rental be invisible.
Oh. I don't either. Do you guys want me to stop that one? We'll skip her today. That one, or what do you guys want me to do? Okay, yeah, she did a weird one today. Okay, I got this other lady. 18.
They completely changed the government shutdown narrative. And I'm going to show you exactly how he did it, starting with Senator Mark Wayne Mullen discussing it yesterday.
The president said this morning, I'm recommending to Senate Republicans that the hundreds of billions of dollars currently being sent to money-sucking insurance companies in order to save the bad health care provided by Obamacare be sent directly to the people so they can purchase their own much better health care and have money left over.
Absolutely brilliant move by the president, and I agree with him 100%. These insurance companies, we're subsidizing them to have high health premiums anyways. Keep in mind, ACA, affordable health care, has not been affordable. President Obama said it was going to drop premiums by 25%. As we sit here right now, without the premium increase that the healthcare industry is putting on the American people, it's up 221%. And why are we subsidizing them an additional 4% when they're making record profits? Which I'm a capitalist. I'm okay with insurance companies making money, but taxpayers shouldn't pad their pockets even more on top of that. What President Trump is saying is, hey, let's give the money to the individual and let them choose their own health care and use the money for actual health care rather making insurance companies even more profitable. I think it's brilliant.
Now, if you've been watching the mainstream media, you'd think the Republican Party is, quote, in a new civil war. They're claiming the ultimate battle came when Tucker Carlson interviewed Nick Fuentes. Every major media outlet pushed that talking point Saturday. But here's what they're not telling you. The Republican Party has been in a civil war ever since Donald Trump walked down the escalator in 2015. It's between rhinos and the new Republican Party. This isn't news. What is news is that Trump just exposed the biggest lie Democrats have been selling for weeks, that we're protecting the little guy by holding out for Obamacare subsidies in the shutdown. I'm Barbara Boyd, and I've been studying American system economics, the economic framework Trump is using, since we rediscovered these ideas in the 1970s. I've also reported extensively on the British instigated coup against President Trump since it began in 2016. Today, I'm going to report on two interrelated stories. First, how Trump's economic offensive this weekend kicked senators and congressmen into line to fight for the policies you voted for in November. And second, I'm giving you a major update on the fight against the deep state, where the walls are finally closing in on the real conspirators. You'll see that even the BBC, the crown jewel of British propaganda, is taking a big hit. So buckle up and please like and share this video right now. It helps us build our audience size we need to win this fight. Here again is what I thought was the president's killer Truth Social post. Democrats claim to be working for the little guy and driving down your health insurance. But the Obamacare scam goes straight to their best friends in the insurance industry. They are making a killing, while health coverage only gets worse. If Democrats get their way again, they're in for another huge payday at the expense of the American people. No deal. Republicans should give money directly to your personal health savings accounts that I expanded in our great, big, beautiful bill. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Throughout the last month, old school Republican candidates mostly hid as Democrats attacked Trump's affordability crisis. Inflation is way down, but it's not fully cured. Instead of telling the truth and supporting Trump's tariff-based rebuild of the U.S. economy, the Republican Party's losers campaigned on the wedge social issue of 4 years running: boys and girls' bathrooms and sports. That when people are having a hard time making ends meet. That's why it was refreshing to see Senator Mark Wayne Mullen respond to Marjorie Taylor Greene's complaint that the White House isn't giving the cost of living any attention it's deserved. Let's listen to his answer.
I don't know if I agree with that. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think she's great, but I don't know what she's talking about. Walmart just came out and said that grocery prices are down over 20% this time last year. They said Thanksgiving, and that was the CEO of Walmart. Amazon said that the trinkets, the things you were buying last year for Christmas, are down. We have inflation that was at a high of 9.1%, average of 5% underneath Biden. Today, it's hovering around 2.5%. Energy prices are down, the lowest they've been since President Trump was last in office. And we know energy is the backbone of inflation. You can't make a product, you can't deliver a product without factoring the energy costs into it. So prices are down. What is up is protein, which is a lot of people, protein meaning pork, chicken, and beef. The president made a huge step at that.
Oh my goodness. Conservative cowboy. Yeah, we never left. I had other channels and I got a lot of changes and everything. And a year and a half ago, my mother passed away, and then my dad passed away. She passed August 15th, 2024, and then Dad in March. But this channel is keeping me staying on my toes and stuff. So everybody wanted me to stay on. So I got it over 1 million views now. So, but my regular time will be 5 o'clock during the week, not 3. It's 5 now. The weekend's different. Kay is my only mod right now. Michelle comes in and out. Good to see you.
That the other day, if you saw a Truth Social post, he said he's going to look at the meat packers because the meat packing industry is consolidated, and 3 of the top 4 meat packers are foreign owned. 2 of them out of Brazil, 1 of them in China. That's a national security issue. Plus the difference between what we sell, I'm a rancher myself, what we sell cattle for, what we call in the hoof or feed cattle, and what the retail is, there's such a huge gap. It's the biggest gap we see in any industry from a product being made to the product of retail. That's where the president's focus is.
Senator Mullen just talked about the other great idea the president put out, going after the big 4 meat processing cartels who have made meat a luxury item. Now the Justice Department has been tasked to investigate and remedy that. Senate Republicans let Democrats lie for weeks that providing billions in continuing subsidies to Americans added to Obamacare during COVID was somehow a righteous necessity. Trump turned that completely around by showing that the only people who benefit from this are the rapacious Wall Street and London insurance companies. Health insurers' profits have jumped 230% since the Unaffordable Care Act passed. Now the shutdown has started to be solved, and there is a big opportunity to fix the mess, which is Obamacare. Trump has already aimed at the root causes of spiraling costs through Maha's attack on chronic disease and regulatory capture by Big Pharma. The president took another step last week in bringing prescription drug prices down with his agreement on GLP-1 drug pricing. Similar moves are underway with other costly drugs. Now we need to find ways to get Wall Street out of running medical practices and hospitals. And we also need a whole lot more doctors and nurses. Otherwise, Treasury Secretary Bessent provided an accurate account yesterday of where inflation stands with Trump as opposed to Biden after just 10 months. Let's hear him out.
What we're not going to do is what happened under the Biden administration, where the administration and the media gaslit everyone and said, "Oh, there's a vibe session. You don't understand how good you have it." And what happened then was we had the worst inflation 40 or 50 years, 22, 23%. But the basket of goods and services for working Americans was up more than 30%. And what we're seeing is we had to stop the increase first. Now we are starting to see prices level off, come down. Gasoline is down, interest rates are down, so mortgages are down. And I think we are making substantial progress on that. And I think over the coming months and the next year, prices are going to come down.
As we build new plants and equipment and bring supply chains home with Trump's tariff and trade policies, Trump's focus is on skilled jobs with high wages for workers. Secretary Bessent has repeatedly said that they're aiming for wage levels which can outpace any inflation. Now, the simplest definition of inflation I've ever found is too much money chasing too few productive goods. The cure is to build and change the entire equation with productive jobs. Not only that, building out the economy of the future changes human identities in ways completely opposite to the pessimism and despair which the low-wage gig economy breeds. We can tell you the real story because we focus on dynamics and facts rather than manufactured outrage. That is critical as we head into the crucial midterms. If you haven't already, become a subscriber to our newsletter. The link is in the description. So now the big conspiracy begins to get a case to match. Are we finally going after the British? There is now a federal grand jury meeting in Florida, which is issuing some 30 subpoenas covering the opening of the Russiagate criminal conspiracy against the Trump 2016 campaign and the first Trump presidency. Subpoena recipients include John Brennan, Peter Strzok, and Lisa Page, among others, and I think they'll work their way up to Barack Hussein Obama. While that's great, I keep insisting that you have to start with the Brits when you're looking at the opening and continuation of this conspiracy against Donald Trump and the American people. A now infamous Guardian article admitted the whole deal. And like all good British intelligence regime change operations, particularly delicate ones like those against the United States, they were quick to tidy things up. After manufacturing dirt on Trump and illegally surveilling the Trump campaign, Robert Hannigan, who was then head of GCHQ, their NSA, resigned unexpectedly in January of 2017. He said he needed to spend time with his family. And after MI6 agent Christopher Steele peddled his fabricated dirty dossier on Trump and Russia, the lead British government security official, Sir Mike Lyle Grant, privately told the Trump White House the British intelligence did not find Christopher Steele trustworthy. That was after Sir Richard Dearlove, the former head of MI6, Sir Christopher Andrew, the Dean of British Intelligence History and the former British ambassador to Russia, and others claimed Steele was their golden boy on all things Russian. Now, there are hopeful signs that this cover-up is ending. First, the heads of the chief British propaganda arm, the BBC, just got canned because of what they did to Donald Trump just ahead of last November's election. Seems they doctored a major BBC documentary about Trump just ahead of the election. They clipped film to make it seem the president told his supporters to storm the Capitol on January 6, 2021. BBC Director General Tim Davie and CEO Deborah Turnus announced their resignations yesterday. They didn't just resign, they got canned. It follows the Daily Telegraph getting its hands on internal BBC documents from whistleblowers about this episode. That's not all. It appears that the administration is targeting the top official for the Center for Countering Digital Hate, Imran Ahmad, for deportation from the U.S. That group has been the main British censorship arm here. It was founded by Morgan McSweeney, Keir Starmer's chief of staff. McSweeney, you might remember, turned up leading the British Labour Party team, which came to the U.S. to campaign for Kamala Harris and defeat Donald Trump. And because of Senators Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson, the walls are now closing in on former special counsel Jack Smith. Smith's wildly illegal Arctic Frost FBI investigation is now under the spotlight. Arctic Frost was aimed at nothing less than jailing Trump for life and destroying critical organizations within the entire Republican Party. All of it to be accomplished ahead of the 2024 presidential election on orders from Joe Biden. It's the last op, if you will, of the seditious conspiracy which began with Russiagate in 2015, 2016, and ended with the January 6, 2021 overthrow of our government. Smith not only commenced 2 bogus criminal prosecutions against Donald Trump, he issued 197 subpoenas to 34 individuals and 163 businesses.
Goodness.
His fishing expedition included the unprecedented.
Another one, Kay. Another one is back. Elvis. How you been doing? Is the health and weather okay? You still got my email. I gotta give you my new phone number. Yeah. I did a show for Ashley a while back. That's my email. So yeah, give me an email. Give me my new number. Yep, take it easy. Thanks for coming in.
Seizure of President Trump's official White House phone and call data from Republican senators and congressmen. The 197 subpoenas requested testimony, communications, and records related to at least 430 named Republican individuals and entities. Some of the records Smith subpoenaed from banks, individuals, and businesses included communications with media companies such as CBS, Fox News, Fox Business, Newsmax, Sinclair, and others. Communications with, quote, any member, employee, or agent of the legislative branch of the U.S. government. Communications with White House advisors such as Stephen Miller, Dan Scavino, Jared Kushner, Lara Trump, and others. Statistical data and analysis relating to donors and fundraising efforts, broad financial data relating to conservative individuals and entities. You see, they wanted to take out the entire surviving apparatus of the Republican Party after Trump was in jail for life. These subpoenas were loftier kill shots. JP Morgan Chase, for example, was subpoenaed by Smith for financial records concerning Truth Social. Truth Social didn't exist in the post-2020 election period Smith was appointed to investigate, but it was a vital outlet for the Trump campaign in 2024. JP Morgan debanked Truth Social as a result of the subpoena and refused to tell Truth Social why. Here's Devin Nunes telling Maurice Bartiromo the story yesterday.
Well, when the Arctic Frost went after our bank records at Trump Media, that's inexplicable because we didn't exist. So what reason did they have to go after us? But I think furthermore, why did JP Morgan target us and not tell us? We're a Florida company. I mean, I can't believe this is not against Florida law, that it wouldn't be against federal law. But furthermore, during that time period, Maria, when we were a private company just going public, JP Morgan then debanked us at that time. Now, luckily enough, we had other banks in line, First Citizens, but right at the time that we were going public in early 2024, in the spring of 2024, right at the height of the campaign, we were trying to get our company that saved free speech, Truth Social, saving free speech, making sure that we all had a voice. At that time, JP Morgan inexplicably debanked us. And we need to know why that happened. You know, after discussing this with them for several months, going back and forth, it looked political at the time. But now we know that they were under subpoenas that they didn't tell us about as they were cooperating with the Biden Department of Justice.
So let's recap what we just reported. Trump has completely shifted the government shutdown game to where we might repair our disastrous healthcare system and other Wall Street games. At the same time, the City of London's longstanding conspiracy against Trump and the United States is finally taking big hits. These are the real dynamics in human history, not the media's manufactured controversies. We're on a drive to expand Promethean action into a major policy force ahead of the midterms. That starts with building out and expanding our subscriber base. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our newsletter now.
Okay, I'm going to go on to YouTube now and see what I can get.
Not sick of winning, because we are winning. So the fight that we have always had since as long as I can remember, the fight has always been, we always lost the media battle. We always lost the fight in the court of public opinion because we never had the media sources to be able to get our word and our message out. And to be brutally honest, the Republican Party, the conservative party, has never been incredibly great at putting a coherent message together. Messaging has always been an issue for us. But I'm so excited that we finally have enough alternative media sources that we've been able to beat this Democrat machine and get our message out. So Chuck Schumer, he tried the shutdown. They tried to hold the government hostage. They tried to play chicken, and thank goodness Donald Trump did not flinch. The Republicans did not flinch. Even with the elections coming up in those blue states, even though they realize we can use that to get them to flinch, and then we can get them to give up so that they can try to win that election, Donald Trump said, I'm not going to give up my principles to attempt to win an election in some deep blue states. Not going to happen. And so good for him, good on him. Now Chuck Schumer is on the outs, his own party. If you've looked at Twitter, they are all calling for Chuck Schumer's head. They want him out. They feel that they went through this shutdown and it got them nothing. They did it all for no apparent reason, and now they want to get rid of their own. You remember back in the day when it was Republicans, conservatives, that we ate our own? Well, not anymore. That's always been the strength of the Democrat Party. No matter how jacked up their members were, they would always rally around them. They would never fight outside the party or outside of the four walls of their caucus. And when they came out, it was always a strong, united front. Last night, we saw 8 Democrats jump over to the Republican side. That's called winning. That's called leadership. The Republicans said, yes, we will give a CR. We will make sure that we fund SNAP, that we fund our military, that we fund our core obligations. But as it pertains to this $40 billion that we've been giving to Obamacare, we're not going to do it. Quick personal story about the Obamacare thing. Obamacare has made health insurance unaffordable for everybody, except for the people who were extremely, extremely poor. But for working class, middle class, health insurance has been an absolute nightmare for us. Now, back in 2020, they had major subsidies during COVID to try to help people out during that time. 2021, they increased that through the Inflation Reduction Act, and we spent 40 some odd billion dollars. So a person who was in the middle class could get health insurance for little or nothing in premiums. That was not sustainable because that money was going directly to insurance companies. Somebody has to remember these premiums, even if you got it for free, you're still paying for it in the way of your taxes. Your children will be paying for it. We don't have any money. And so even though it feels good today, at the end of the day, we still have to pay the pipe. And so the Republicans said, absolutely not. We're not going to continue this. And then finally, President Trump came forward and said, you know what? How about we just give the money to the consumers to spend and buy their own health insurance wherever they see the need to? Because we all know that when the government starts to subsidize something, it always becomes more expensive. Always, every single time. And so Chuck Schumer is on the way out. Democrats have folded, and Republicans are finally winning the information battle. Let me know what you guys think about this. Comment below. I'll see you guys next time. Be blessed.
Okay, yep. Chaos Town Conservative. I sure missed all that intel that he shares for us. Okay, we got, we didn't do Nick's other video from I don't think we played this one.
Farming in
8
Kentucky
minutes
and
on this
across the United States. Tucked away page 163, Title 7, Division B of this spending package is a provision that will shut down the hemp industry across the United States.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Nick Moseder here. And after Rand Paul voted against his party to end the filibuster, he then went on to try to delay the reopening of the government by holding everybody hostage over what he called a poison pill that was inserted into the Clean CR by Mitch McConnell, his fellow Kentucky senator. And the entire Senate, almost 76 of them, just voted to shut him down and annihilate him and keep the poison pill in there. This is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, and you're not going to want to miss this update. But first, click like on this video, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And if you want to save a ton of money, on your Christmas presents, then go to mypillow.com, enter promo code Nick at checkout, and you'll save up to 66% off MyPillow products and get free shipping. Now, let's get right into it. So like many of you guys out there, I thought that the government was going to reopen again because last night we got the 60 votes to end the filibuster, and that's that, right? But apparently there's more to it. And mind you, I'm just a red-bearded ginger that makes videos in his guest room, so I don't know everything. I'm still learning here. Cut me some slack. Apparently this still has to get debated and finalized. And Rand Paul, as we know, voted against his party last night, which means that they don't have unanimous consent. And when you don't have unanimous consent, the finalization of the bill, making it official so that we can reopen the government, actually gets delayed. And he was trying to slow things down. He could have kept the government closed another week while they hashed this out. Now, what was he so upset about, you're probably wondering? Well, apparently, inside of the agricultural portion of the appropriations bill, Mitch McConnell tried to include some language in there that he didn't think anybody was going to read. And that language would put a nationwide ban on certain hemp products, a certain chemical, which is a loophole, which you guys may be familiar with, this stuff called Delta 8 THC, which is something that gets you a little high. It was originally intended when they legalized hemp that, things like rope and clothing would be produced. But then some scientists and chemists came along and realized they could take the CBD, which is perfectly legal, and bastardize it into something called Delta 8 THC, which does get you a little high. And it's like a legal loophole. Well, Mitch McConnell, he slipped some language in there, which would put a ban to this loophole. And Rand Paul did not like it. And so he took to the Senate floor and started making the argument that this poison pill is going to damage the economy. There's $1 billion industry that's been created in the production of these products, which is true. Kentucky's economy is heavily reliant on the production of hemp. A lot of the farmers have switched from mass producing tobacco to producing hemp because it's become more profitable. So he decided he's not going to vote with his party. He's going to instead try to delay the process of reopening the government. And he was going to do that as long as he possibly could until they agreed to have a vote on this one section, this one provision, this so-called poison pill inserted by Mitch McConnell. However, in a massive bipartisan effort, the Senate all came together, held hands, and sang Kumbaya, and shut him down in a massive 76-24 to table this motion, which is basically a way of saying, shut up, Rand Paul. We're keeping it the way it is. We're leaving the poison pill in there. We're passing this bill and we're reopening the government, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, on one hand, I can see that logic. They want to stop the bleeding. They want to stop the angry constituents from blowing up their phones every single day of the week, demanding that they reopen the government. And they're willing to basically pass anything through at this point in expedited fashion. However, on the other hand, I see where Rand Paul is coming from, because I don't believe for a second that Mitch McConnell is concerned about the safety of, kids getting Delta 8 THC in their hands and getting high. I don't think that's what this is about at all. I think what this is about is the fact that while the government has a pretty strong stranglehold on the legalized form of cannabis, with regulations and taxes and all the revenue that it generates, this Delta 8 THC stuff was hitting their pockets. And so Mitch McConnell wanted to slip that through there and put a nationwide ban to it, which affects like 23 states in the country. And I'm sure old crooked turtle, cocaine China Mitch is lining his pockets right now as we speak. I'm sure he's getting paid handsomely for getting this legislation across the finish line as a rider, as a poison pill in this, clean CR, as they call it. And I think he knew that given the climate of things, you have flights getting canceled and delayed. You have Thanksgiving coming up while the government shut down. People lost their SNAP benefits, all that stuff. There's all this hysteria. And we just got the news. Everybody's under the impression that the government shutdown is over and we're going to reopen things. Rah, rah, hip, hip, hooray. And now's the time to slip a little poison pill into this bill, and nobody's going to stop it because they can't afford to. I mean, the optics of stopping this or delaying it any further is just going to be political suicide. Mitch McConnell, he's been around for a long time. He's been around the block once or twice. He knows how this stuff works. He's a smooth operator. I got to hand it to him. He's a very good, crooked criminal politician. So my hat's off to you, Mitch. You pulled a fast one on us and you got this through. Now, what's going to happen next is we all need to pay very, very close attention. Once the government opens back up and everybody stops paying attention because the government's not shut down anymore, now the Republicans and the Democrats are going to go back and forth and debate whether or not to extend the Obamacare subsidies, which the Democrats just held the entire country hostage over. Because while we're all being told that the Republicans didn't cave, they didn't bend, they held the line, and they didn't give the Democrats anything that they want, essentially what's happened is they've kicked the can until January 31st, temporarily funding the government and promising to the Democrats that they're going to revisit these subsidies a month from now. And I don't know about you, but I just have a little hunch that the Democrats still have a couple of tricks up their sleeve, which the Republicans may or may not be prepared for, and only time is going to tell. So we all need to pay very close attention. We can't take our eyes off the ball because those 8 Democrats didn't come to the other side of the aisle for no reason. I'm sure there were some behind the scenes conversations and some handshakes and some backroom deals that were taking place. And from now until the next 12 weeks, we need to be very vigilant about what's going on, which is exactly what we intend to do on this channel. As we've always done, we try to tell the story that the mainstream media is not telling you. So, with that being said, if you like what we're doing here on this channel, be sure.
So Kay just called and her housebreaker or something went out. Someone's coming over to fix it. So hopefully it won't take long. We're going to go to 7 o'clock, so we'll get another hour. Okay, what we got here? I thought I saw a cash video. Darn it. Okay, we didn't play cash videos, so we got 2 cash videos last night. Yeah. Oh. Shoot. I guess we'll play this one.
In their vehicles. You know, the weapons to equip a small army, and it appears that was the plan in this Texas town. One of the many locations cartel foot soldiers have infiltrated America to arm themselves while doing everything they can to reopen the southern border and make money. And on top of all that, Mexico is now part of an alliance with multiple South American regimes some people hope you don't find out about.
New numbers showing the dramatic change at the border. In Eagle Pass, Texas, during the Biden administration, more than 2,000 migrants crossed into the U.S. in a single day. But now, under President Trump's policies, officers encounter just 20 migrants a day here.
ICE actually arrested them on federal firearms charges. Then they opened up the compartments, and what they found was shocking, loaded with roughly 400 firearms of various calibers, including rifles.
What is Mexico doing to fight the cartels?
Mexico, President Sheinbaum says that she's an ally of the United States of America, but secretly, she is not. The Mexican government is so corrupt. They are helping the dictatorships of Latin America, and we, most of the Mexicans, we do not support that.
Now, if you look at the border, it's super quiet. So whatever the current administration done, it's working.
Business owner Leo Martinez is a Democrat who voted for Trump.
President Sheinbaum wants Mexico to be the next Venezuela, and now she cannot deny it. We can see the things that the Mexican government is doing.
Uno por uno vaya saliendo.
So cartels are now offering bounties of up to $10,000 for snipers to take on Border Patrol. And this happened after people were caught smuggling high-powered rifles. But what nobody's talking about is if the cartels actually do this and they orchestrate some sort of attack on our country, it's going to be the end of Mexico as we know it. A country that currently claims to be an ally of the U.S. while allegedly spoon-feeding their domestic cartels all the help they need to keep their crime machine running, while they're apparently allying themselves with Venezuela of all places, an alliance held together by their shared benefit of a formerly open U.S. border. And that's because the benefit of a wide open U.S. border is huge for these countries. For example, unemployment rates in places like Mexico are much lower than they'd be if citizens who can't get jobs there aren't encouraged to cross the U.S. border, where they're then forced into exploitative labor situations in American sanctuaries like California, while American hospitals and healthcare systems provide social welfare to its citizens so it doesn't have to. And as we're gonna learn today, the real reason these cartels are still operating at the border and still trying to exploit it is because they benefit from an open border just like these corrupt governments do. And they're essentially on the same team, as defeating border security is a mission shared by many. A despot or strongman who's secretly running a criminal empire. But now that's changed. We've got the most secure border for the first time in a long time, and criminals trying to invade the United States by land or by sea, they're just not making it. And if people get caught in the United States, well, they're deported. They're no longer allowed to stay after they break our laws. And in case you're wondering how involved Mexico ever was with the US's formerly open border, watch this.
Thousands of migrants piled into Mexican Commission offices in Tapachula for aid in recent days. Authorities say they have deployed 189 buses and 73 vans to move over 8,000 migrants.
Right. So Mexico wasn't just allowing people to walk through its country on the way to the U.S. border. No, they were providing transportation for people to do that. People who then paid cartels and criminal organizations for permission to try to come in. And this begs two huge questions. First of all, if illegal immigration is such an amazing thing for America, as progressives and communists tell us, why isn't a country like Mexico doing more to help these folks establish themselves there without crossing our border? And second of all, if Mexico benefits from the asylum industrial complex, how serious can they truly be about shutting down their side of the border and their cartels? Or are they not serious at all? Do they just hope they can make it another 3 years until there's a new president in the White House who reopens the thing?
So the Mexican government is very worried about the United States trying to get to the Venezuelan cartels. And we Mexicans are very worried about this from Claudia Sheinbaum. She just said that she's not going to the America Summit precisely because Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua, these dictatorships were not invited. So she's not going because they are not invited. That's crystal clear that she backs Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua.
What?
She's a leftist. And even...
That's crazy. That's awful. Why are you going to back up and stick up for these thugs who are hurting their own people unless you think what they're doing is okay? That's terrible. And that's bad news for people living in Mexico who want freedom and want to have a better life, to see their leader palling up with these other regimes. Oh, it's terrible. And this Mexican senator told us something fascinating. She's revealed that the president of Mexico is a leftist who wants a wide open border, which is the same thing these other dictators want. And also the same thing these Antifa Democrat mobs in sanctuary cities want. They all want the same thing. No more capitalism, no more border security, no more ICE. And since all of these groups in some way derive their own benefit from total lawlessness, it makes it pretty obvious why lawless cartels are still operating in Mexico. and in certain areas of Texas.
Firearms in hidden compartments in those trailers at the southern border bound for Mexico.
Wild
So as you
story.
mentioned, this happened in Laredo, Texas on Thursday. This was at the port of entry there where inspectors flagged odd trailer walls. Then they opened up the compartments and what they found was shocking. Loaded with roughly 400 firearms of various calibers, including rifles, high-capacity magazines, and also thousands of rounds of ammunition.
So here we've got Mexican operatives trying to exploit our border to bring a massive stockpile of weaponry into that country. And we heard about the bounties, and these are all like a long range type of rifle that you'd use for hunting or something, and they're high caliber. Like, this is wild. These are not the types of things you'd use to defend yourself. These are not the types of weapons law enforcement would use in their duties of arresting criminals. Oh no, they're for hitting targets far away. And this reveals what these cartels are really up to now that the border is virtually shut.
This is a reminder that while things might be quiet at the border and all the focus is on the interior, it is not the time for the men and women on the front lines to let their guard down. Take a listen.
Your information is accurate, that some transaction took place, whether that was moving people, moving cash into the United States and to purchase those weapons.
Yeah, that's for sure. These cartels, they've got every plan possible to try and just make an opening that they can exploit. And these criminals, they might not be flooding America with illegal immigrants who paid them for passage into our country anymore, but instead they're spending their energy on thinking of ways to survive and circumvent these new restrictions, hoping that in just a few years, somebody who hates America just as much as they do will once again be back in the White House, calling the shots, reopening the front doors so they can get back to doing what they've always been doing.
In the last 7 years, the Mexican government has given millions of oil barrels to Cuba worth $4
Why are they supporting
billion.
Cuba?
So the Cuban dictatorship is alive because of the Mexican help.
Yes, Senator, this is a very interesting situation
Stupid.
because President Trump, as you said,
It's stupid that this country is funding our enemies while feigning as if they want to cooperate. And it perfectly explains why all of our enemies just seem to keep going, including these cartels. And the worst part about this is government funded criminal organizations are bad news for law-abiding citizens in these places who want to do the right thing, want freedom, want to build better lives for themselves, but just can't because of repression. At the same time, all of these dictators are just getting help from each other, propping up an evil status quo, hoping that America forgets to vote for somebody who cares about law and order in the next few elections, which explains why they're stocking up in the meantime. But where do you think they're getting all these weapons?
There was another repeat victim.
Repeat.
But it was what was stolen that makes this particular crime even more dangerous.
Look at this.
The gravity of what happens when stolen weapons get out into the community doesn't escape me or my brother, who's my partner here. And, you know, I feel bad this happens, and we're not going to let this happen to anyone else.
So here we've got a legal business that sells firearms in a sanctuary state, California, where we've got a massive crime problem, not enough police, criminals all over the place, sanctuary policies, and this place is a repeat victim of robberies. And they just so happen to sell the same types of weapons that were just being carted across the border. And those weapons in that truck, those were most likely stolen. And this is how they're getting stolen. They're getting stolen from cities that love to protect criminals. This is bad news for everybody. And in a way, these sanctuaries, they're teamed up with America's enemies as well, because they care as little for America's laws as the criminals do, and they benefit. And if the U.S. border is closed, these sanctuaries are going to have to figure out a new way to even be sanctuaries because they won't have any federal fugitives to protect after they all get deported. On top of that, if the border's closed, countries like Mexico that benefit economically from an open border, well, they're going to have to figure out ways to start helping their own poor escape poverty. Something a free market economy, free from corruption, would provide. But when you're an entire country that's run for decades with a not so subtle criminal empire's help, there is going to be resistance to that.
The cartels are rampant. Recently, there was a natural disaster, and the cartels were the ones giving aid out to the Mexican people instead of the Mexican government. they were responding quicker and better. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. You know, the Mexican government is so corrupt that they robbed the money for this kind of natural disasters to help people, and now they're trying to do something about it. But this is very interesting. When President Sheinbaum was asked about the cartels giving help to the people, she didn't want to say anything about it. Yeah. This is incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, because these cartels are helping prop up a status quo that does not benefit the people of Mexico whatsoever. A status quo that has more in common with regimes like Venezuela's, that's for sure, which explains why the Mexican president isn't just upset about the U.S.'s border security mission taking place in the Caribbean now, stopping illegal criminals and their boats from entering our country. And this also explains why she defends Venezuela's dictator from allegations he's running a cartel and running the gang Tren de Aragua, while the Colombian president says Maduro's cartel doesn't even exist and is fake news. But what's not fake news is the obvious criminal connection here some people are starting to expose.
I think the world must know, and our American associates, the United States must know that they should look at what the Mexican government is doing, not saying. Because Sheinbaum and her politics says that they want this alliance and they're trying to make these negotiations for the trade treaty, but at the same time, they are helping the dictatorships of Latin America, and most of the Mexicans, we do not support that.
Right. So actions totally speak louder than words. It's no secret that Cuba and Venezuela and these countries are bad news and hurt their own people. Everybody knows this, and here Mexico is helping them. And you know, we hear from these presidents, these dictators, about how Trump doesn't care anything about any country other than America, and how he just wants to disenfranchise these countries who are just bastions of freedom and take care of their own people and are just trying to survive against some evil empire. But they're the places where you've got this poverty. They're the places with these exploitative economic systems that don't lift people out of poverty, but make sure everybody experiences equally awful amounts of it at the exact same time, like communism. While we know these are hotbeds of criminal activity, gang activity, cartel activity, and if you've got Mexico supporting its own cartels by promising to stamp them out, but never seeming to figure out exactly how to do that, even though everyone knows where they are, and you've also got them supporting Venezuela, then it means Mexico is indirectly propping up an anti-American hate campaign going on in many of our sanctuaries. Hate campaigns which have sponsored radical left field groups for a very long time in this country, and now sponsor Antifa. And you know what this reveals? It reveals that if we're serious about having law and order and a secure border in our country, we've got to look at these international connections between countries who sponsor crime and benefit when that crime takes place right here. What do you think about that? Thank you for watching. I will see you.
So we'll do one of cast tonight. I got a couple of videos, and then Roseanne's son has a interview.
Since the creation of the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, that's it.
I
Bingo.
mean, the truth of the matter is, and you
Anybody
know, I'm
see this
sorry
one?
if you're part of that family. I don't
This is,
blame you, like I
10
don't
minutes.
blame anyone in 2026 for slavery. Of course, that was also a British thing, by
Right.
the way. You know, something that's never been taught about slavery in America is that it was benefiting the French and the English.
Yes, that's right.
They were funding the South
Yep.
because they wanted secession.
Yeah.
They funded, and you know who helped us during the Civil War? Russia, the North. Russia helped the North. Russia helped us in the Civil War. They helped us in the Revolution. And then all of a sudden, you know, they realize how profitable war is. And now the Cold War starts. And then never forget when these people lie that they promised Gorbachev that they would end NATO. And then George Soros in 1993, put out his whole NATO World Order document. It's still on the Open Society. I don't know how people don't know this. He was obviously a mentor of the Clintons, you know, and 2 years later, they start expanding NATO. NATO should have ended.
Yeah.
And we should have normalized relationship with Russia.
Yeah.
But you had all these people that now are in the EU that I believe not only
are moving towards Russia,
but the
World War III.
Right, but if you read Brzezinski again, now you have to remember Brzezinski was Jimmy Carter's, I believe, Secretary of State or whatever he was.
Bingo! I was going to ask you about Carter.
Yeah, and then Obama brings him back.
Yeah,
and he wrote that the Grand Chessboard, which is literally, people don't even know, the Third Reich's goal was to have a unified Europe with no Russia and divide Russia and all the natural resources into those countries. That is still the goal.
That is the goal.
So that's why me and Kathy always say, like, we're not so sure World War II ever ended.
Yeah.
You know, it just became, and when George H.W.
I don't think it did either, because Hitler and the Mufti of Jerusalem continued to this day to, you know, they wanted to make Europe Judenrein, and then they wanted to make the Levant and all the Arab states Judenrein, which they have done. And now, you know, they want to return Israel to Palestine. It's the same thing. It's never ended.
Guys.
You know, they just call it different names, like calling the German Workers' Party fascist, not socialist.
Right, exactly. So they mix everything around. That's the thing. But when it comes to like Sickers Are Secrets, because when I started talking about this stuff, people would get very upset.
Yeah.
Because they felt like you were putting down America. I'm like, no, we have all been equally betrayed in and these people are brilliant. Like, people have to understand, we're talking about Bernays, who created advertising, PR, propaganda, you know, and Goebbels and all these people. And let me tell you, they knew full well there is a, and the guy that was running the Bank of International Settlements during World War II is an American banker. His name was a lawyer as well. His name was McKittrick. So nothing in terms of international finance stopped at all.
No, got richer.
Yeah. And, you know, they 60 million people were victims of Nazi Germany with the help of these international bankers and international
mostly the German people. I mean, the German people had been...
they've been used over and over, quite
since
honestly.
World War I.
Oh, yeah.
Decreasing that population. They don't... It's funny that they don't like white people. That's really what's funny.
Well, what's scary is right now, white people are the minority on the planet. And yet, you know...
But that would be the Fourth Reich's goal, too.
Yeah, it seems so.
Yeah.
And
maybe they're not as, you know...
Well, right now, what we have to realize is that it's not an accident that Trump is meeting with Putin in Budapest, in Hungary, and that a lot of those countries in there, they feel like they were tricked into the EU because it never had anything to do with it being a union like America. That's just not going to happen. And all of those countries have had their sovereignty taken away from them right before their eyes wide open. And frankly, that's what they're hoping happen here.
I love that you said that, because I was going to say, Brzezinski and that whole thing that America doesn't really understand either, what was that was Jimmy Carter, and what America doesn't understand what he did to us. He instituted the SES. And that
and then protected them.
Yes, and that's like
senior executive
service. That's like saying that there's a group above even the CIA that controls everything. So he sold us out in a massive way. And he was kind of the first jihadi president.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, it's funny. This is interesting. I think that when John Foster Dulles took over the State Department stopped working for America.
That's true.
I really believe that the State Department and the CIA have always worked for the international banking cartel.
That's true.
And that is who they've been protecting. Because if you look at all the overthrows, all the regime change, it's always people that don't want to go along with it, like Gaddafi.
I recently opened up about somebody close to me who experienced post-COVID vax side effects. I did it in an interview, and it is hard to talk about. But well, she got the jab, and then she got the boosters, and after that, she was never the same. She told me that she felt like her body was on fire from the inside, burning, and she couldn't eat, and she was exhausted all the time and in pain. And no one in the medical system had any answers for her. So I've seen firsthand how isolating and scary that can be, which is why I want to tell you about the wellness company's Ultimate Spike Detox. Developed by Dr. Peter McCullough, this doctor-formulated blend is designed to help your body clear spike protein, while also supporting your immune system, heart, and brain. It combines 7 natural ingredients, nattokinase, nattokinase, to help break down spike protein, bromelain to support immune health, and turmeric with black pepper to reduce inflammation and repair your cells. If you or someone you love is still suffering, don't wait. Go to twc.health/RB and use code RB for 10% off plus free shipping.
Or Saddam Hussein.
Right.
Or all of these wars.
Yeah.
And again, the American taxpayer has paid for
resources,
all of it.
right.
Yeah. And
but what do you think about this now? Trump, because people are saying this might be like Russia and America getting a divorce from the EU.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, I would like to see the people of the EU freed, but frankly, they've let in too many people by design. Oh, like I was saying. So, this is a George Soros plan. It's on his website, and it's not just him, obviously. The problem with talking about Soros is he's like, he kind of like, look over here.
He's owned by MI6.
Yeah, it's like, look over here, point at that guy. And then does everyone think that the marriage of a Muslim Brotherhood daughter and George Soros' son is not
right?
Is inconsequential and means nothing.
Right, exactly. You know, and I pulled up and you can go back and look at it, but when
the Vatican put Muslim prayer rugs in
I
there.
saw.
I told you it's Chrislam.
I know you did.
UN Agenda 30.
Yeah,
it seems to be
one world,
undeniable
one
now.
religion, one financial, everything. Right now, believe me, they're going full steam ahead for the BIS, central bank digital currency, digital wallet, digital everything. The EU is selling out their entire population, and I think that's 400 million people. No, they don't have any power anymore. The people at all in those countries, but Hungary, Slovakia, Poland. A couple of those countries are now being called, of course, Norma Eisen's going over there right before one of your favorite people, right before the Polish election. Obama, Valerie Jarrett, and one other person go over to Poland to try to sway it towards the person that's going to work for the International Global Public-Private Partnership Agenda 2030. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's not a coincidence. Like these are... And the truth is, they don't believe that, and this comes out of Rockefeller's memoir too, they don't believe that humanity, deserves to be free, deserves to live.
No, well, we're too stupid.
Right.
We didn't go to Harvard and all that.
Thank God. Oh my God.
We didn't get the right brainwashing to think that having sex with kids is good.
No. And don't forget, that's being normalized.
Oh, that's all they
EU,
care about. Oh, it's all they care
because
about.
of, well, don't think they're not going to try it in New York under Mamdani.
No,
Wait till you see what's going to happen there.
It's cooked. It's already over there.
Well, it's already over there. They just want to not go to jail for it.
And the Muslim Brotherhood right now is celebrating that they're going to run London and New York City.
Yeah.
Oh, you see. So I just want to play Roseanne. We haven't played her in a while. Betty.
Hurdy-gurdy-gurdy. Ladies and gentlemen, Kamala Harris claims that the party took black women for granted during the 2024 election and that she was fighting 3D chess. If she's fighting 3D chess, then what does like normal chess look like? Exactly. Because Kamala Harris wasn't even playing checkers. Like she wasn't even playing checkers for like Make-A-Wish, like short bus checkers, right? Where you're just like kind of chewing on the pieces. She wasn't even playing that in the election. Kamala Harris in an absolute nightmare interview, another one, appeared on a podcast, Storehouse and Friends. What the hell are these podcasts? Like what are these things? I've never heard of anything. Who's backstopping these podcasts? What the hell are they? Like, can I get a witness? Can I get an amen on this? What the hell are what are all these podcasts? What is this? Do I live in a bubble? I don't think so. What are these podcasts? Storehouse and Friends? There's like a new lib-coded, femme-coded podcast with a fake brick wall. Yeah, I know we got a fake brick wall too. We're gonna do a full redo of the studio. We're excited about that. But like they all look the exact same. They all sound the exact same. What are these things? I don't know. They're it's like Alien, you know. It's like Gremlins. Like they're where they all come from. They're spawning insufferable podcasts for Kamala Harris to sit there and gripe and bitch and moan. Here we go.
I think the Democratic Party has taken black women for granted. There are very specific issues that impact black women in America that should be some of the highest priorities. I made them priorities when I was vice president, such as black maternal mortality. One of among the stakes that I knew was president in the election included whether or not we were going to pay attention to, let's say, specific health needs around like issues like postpartum care, maternity, right, support, and then you look at what's happening now with this guy in office, and they're cutting funding for scientific research.
A few
if
hours.
It has the word woman or black in it.
I'm not quite sure.
Right. So, for example, important research that still needs to be done around fibroids. Right. All of that. So, to your point, I am never going to shy away from who I am. And I'm never going to feel burdened that because of who I am in terms of my race and my gender, that I should pretend to not be.
Yeah. I said, wait a minute. She went to Howard. She's an AKA. What do y'all mean?
The Longhouse sucks, bro. The Longhouse sucks. I'm tired of the Longhouse. I am so sick of these insufferable women. I am so sick of this femme-coded society where you can give everyone everything. The Democrat Party took black women for granted. What are you talking about? The Democrat Party got down on their knees, took their tongue, licked the bottom of black women's boots, did everything they possibly could, literally committed acts of obscene racism against every other race. Whites, of course, yes, but also Latinos and Asian women and whatever, in order to venerate and to uplift black women by, and this is not a comprehensive list at all, announcing that the next Supreme Court pick would be a black woman. Not a qualified woman, not a qualified person, not an astute scholar of the Constitution, but literally saying that your race and sex would be how you get on the Supreme Court. This never happened in the history of America. It should never happen again. It was utterly grotesque. That's the same reason why Kamala Harris was installed as the candidate without a single vote. Look, a black woman. It is an obscenity to the American experiment. It is an obscenity to our founding documents. To say something like that is regressive, not progressive. And now you've seen the results. With low IQ, Ketanji Brown Jackson, who doesn't actually know what a woman is. Can you get the clip? I played it yesterday. Can you get the clip? I had it yesterday in one of our OCs. It still boggles the mind. This clip. Ketanji Brown Jackson. What's a woman exactly? Kamala Harris is saying that they took black women for granted. What if Donald Trump ran on putting a white man on the Supreme Court?
Did you say you were in Michigan or what?
Yeah, I mean, truly, it would be an obscenity if it was truly any other demographic.
A half hour.
But the Democrat Party
or here on
has become such a water carrier. They specifically decided to become a party of black women to serve only black women. That's why Kamala Harris was selected, by the way, as vice president. You can go back into the annals of history and find Joe Biden straight up saying, I'm going to choose a black woman as vice president. I'm going to choose a black woman for a Supreme Court justice. Could you imagine if Joe Biden said, I'm going to choose an Asian woman or a Mexican woman, or God forbid, a white woman or man for any of these positions? Of course, the people would lose it, and by the people, I'm talking about black women, would lose it. Like they'd be the first, the Sydney Sweeney great genes ad contingency, losing their minds, screaming through bites of their Wendy's Baconators, pulling down their double masking in their
send me your
Toyota Corollas.
Wayne. I got the email
in the
there.
Parking lot of Planned Parenthood. That demographic would lose their ever-loving mind if any politician ever dared do anything like Joe Biden did to any other demographic. What I mean by that is to select specifically a black woman.
Fanatic Sportsbook Fair Play, explained by Libby Dunn, eating a turkey leg.
Our Fair Play insurance now protects your pro football bets from all first half injuries. Why risk it if you...
So here's what happens when you do that, by the way.
8 minutes.
This is the end result of deciding that you are going to engage in like neo-eugenics by saying it is your skin color and sex alone that will define whether you are worthy of a high position in society. Here we go.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a
the
biologist.
meaning of the word.
I'm not a biologist. Marsha Blackburn has been on this program, I think. Is that correct, Alex? She's a senator from Tennessee. She's running for governor now. She's definitely going to become the next Tennessee governor. I got nothing against Marsha Blackburn. But a slight critique there from somebody who talks for a living. Your answer, like the follow-up to that is obviously has to be, well, you were nominated because you are a black woman. So what is a woman? Are you a woman?
How old is that lady?
Did Joe Biden lie to us?
Oh my God.
Are you pulling? Are you Mike? Are you Mike? The follow-up there, this is how you get them. Stop talking, start thinking when it comes to debating. The follow-up there, Senator, respectfully, when she says, I'm not a biologist, I don't know what a woman is you are nominated because you are a black woman. That's what the president said, Joe Biden. So are you a woman? And then shut up and let that sweet silence play out. You understand how this works? Let that sweet silence just extend out before you, and let Ketanji Brown Jackson like sit there and like sweat, take a gulp of water, and then ask for a break. That's what she would have done, and it would have been the most viral moment in congressional testimony history. Can't you wait until I'm a senator? Can't you wait? You know, the way things are going, like that, the way things are going, I'm probably going to have to run for office at some point. I don't know. I don't think I ever should. But like, who cares? They've already tried to cancel me on literally everything. There's nothing that you don't know about me. I live a very public life. I've already been canceled like 50 times. So like, at some point, it's like, why not? I used to think like, oh, I shared a spicy meme, so I could never run for office. Well, you know, like, please, Donald Trump is sharing memes of using a F-22 Raptor to explode out of the end of the fighter jet human excrement onto Harry Sisson's face. So I think I'll be good, actually, if that ever happens, if that time ever comes. Is it time? Not now. But will it be time? Well, I don't know. But if I'm a senator, I can tell you it would have gone very differently, that line of questioning. And it's very obvious what you do in that situation. But she let her get away with it. Let her get away with it. You hate to see it. Kamala cringe. Here we go. Nuclear cringe. We haven't done one of these in a long time. We need a new cringe. I mean, because Cringe Jean Pierre ain't around anymore. So it's like we are less likely to do a cringe, but we have to dust it off. Blow the dust off the old nuclear cringe and hit play.
Love slots? The DraftKings Casino app's got you covered. They got tons of slots to choose from. All these options.
I was aware of my opponent's strategy, and I wasn't about to fall prey or fall into those traps. And part of his strategy and those around him was to try and take me off our game and message. And I wasn't about to be distracted by those flames that he was trying to throw to get me away from my highest priority, which is talking to people about the economy and their well-being in terms of their financial well-being. And I understood the game that was being played, and I made a decision that I wasn't going to get played. And
chess, not checkers. Got it.
chess, not checkers. Yeah, three-dimensional chess. I'm telling you, you know.
Oh no. How'd that work out for you? Bold strategy, Cotton. I happen to have a map in my office that shows that Kamala Harris lost the popular vote, all 7 swing states, and 90% of American counties. But don't worry, she wasn't the one getting played. Also, pretty critical here. If you're talking to a group of people, whether it's 3 people or 300 or 3,000, and you're the only one laughing at the things you're saying, you're doing it wrong. You're a sociopath. There's something broken about you in your soul. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Stop. Stop. Stop laughing. Stop laughing. Stop laughing. Stop laughing. This is a real problem for Kamala Harris, and it really shows something very dark and weird. Think about it like the Joker, right? How the Joker, like, he'll kill someone and then he'll like laugh maniacally and hysterically, or he'll harm someone or their family or commit some horrible act of violence or crime, and then he'll like laugh about it. Like that's the vibe. That's the vibes that Kamala gives off. Okay, great. I know that not everything's going perfectly in this country, and I have my own criticisms, and we've leveled them, actually, frankly, on this show. But at the very least, we don't have that. President Trump saved us from that.
Okay, I want to see if I got any short ones on YouTube, and we'll do one more Vinny video. Okay, it looks like George has one. It's 11 minutes. Just came out.
Look-alike who made up these false accusations against Trump, saying he essayed
11
her
minutes.
at some store
Just
in New
came out.
York. Tell me she don't look like Nancy Pelosi. At least Nancy has a little chest. All this witch has is spells. Out of all the cases they brought against Trump last year and the last few years, I hated this one the most because it made no sense. This chick is a nut job. The very nature of her accusations were copied from a TV show, literally came from an episode of Law and Order. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Trump has gone to the US Supreme Court, officially asking them to overturn that very erroneous verdict from the lower courts in New York. He wants the justices to invalidate the $5 million civil judgment in the case that found him civilly liable for essaying her and also defaming her. Everything about this is ridiculous. Somebody accuses you of something you're saying you didn't do, and you going after that person's claims, calling it a hoax and a con job, is somehow defamation against them. Utterly ridiculous. So the jury in 2023 awarded the judgment after finding Trump liable following her allegations that he assaulted her in the dressing room of a Manhattan department store in 1996. Trump would have been 50 years old in 1996. Unless he had some crazy vision problems, I'm pretty sure he still liked women that looked normal. Trump's lawyers wrote in their brief to the Supreme Court that there were no eyewitnesses, no video evidence, and no police report or investigation. Instead, Carol waited more than 20 years to falsely accuse Donald Trump, who she politically opposes, until after he became the 45th president, when she could maximize political injury to him and profit for herself. It's still unclear whether the High Court will take up the case. A federal appeals court last year upheld the judgment after Trump argued that U.S. District Judge Lewis Kaplan, who oversaw the case, had erred in allowing testimony from two women, Jessica Leeds and Natasha Stoyanov, whose allegations of sexual abuse Trump has denied. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact that a man's entire reputation can be destroyed with just a few words from a false accuser is seriously sad. We all know exactly what this is. These are lies. Me and Grok, well, I did most of the work, just came up with a list of all the inconsistencies in her allegations against the president. Number one, uncertainty about the exact date and year of the incident. Carol was initially unsure whether the alleged assault occurred in 1995 or 1996, later specifying it based on a friend's timeline of working with Trump. She also couldn't recall the specific month, season, or date. Trump claimed this lack of detail showed she had no details on the date, month, year, or decade. Can you imagine something that tragic happening to you? Such a traumatizing experience, and you suddenly can't remember it? Unbelievable. In interviews and statements, Carol described the encounter as a fight instead of a, you know what, stating, "My word is not the victim word. I have not and I have not been R-worded," and emphasizing that she fought. So in her mind, she didn't just let it happen. She was
This will
like
probably be
fighting
the
him,
last video,
like
you
doing
guys.
Superman moves. Her statement that most people view
We got
R-word
6 minutes.
as sexy. Actually, most people don't.
6
During
minutes.
a 2019 CNN interview, Carol argued that most people think of R-word as being sexy, which Trump's defense used to question her perception of the incident. And then the similarity to the 2012 Law and Order SVU episode. Carol's account of a R-word in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room mirrors an episode from a 2012 episode of the show involving a R-word fantasy in the same location. She acknowledged awareness of the episode, but denied seeing it or drawing from it. You see why I'm so angered by this case? Inconsistency regarding the dress. This is a big one. Carol claimed to have worn a Donna Karan dress during the incident, but Trump alleged she changed her story about the year because that specific dress design wasn't manufactured until after her initial claim timeline. The dress wasn't available in 1994 or early 1995. Lack of screaming or immediate reporting. Carol testified she did not scream during the alleged assault and did not report to police at the time, which Trump's lawyer questioned as inconsistent with typical responses to such an event. Delay in coming forward. It took Carol over 2 decades to publicly accuse Trump, which the defense highlighted as a potential inconsistency, not a potential inconsistency. It's definitely an inconsistency, pressing her on why she didn't speak out sooner despite her public persona. No surveillance footage or witnesses. You would think if something like that happens at, I guess, a high-end store like Bergdorf Goodman, there would just have been somebody who noticed something was off. The store confirmed no video footage existed from the time and no witnesses were present, which Trump used to argue the incident couldn't have happened without notice. Absence of DNA evidence. Test on the dress Carol kept showed no sperm, and despite request, Trump delayed providing a DNA sample, which the judge viewed as a tactic. This was barred from trial discussion, but cited as a gap. Again, just think of that. Trump delayed providing a DNA sample. Maybe that's because he knows exactly what this is about. He didn't want to feed into this nonsense, but even so, he won with that. There was no evidence. Discrepancies across accounts. Variations appeared between Carol's court testimony, deposition, public statements, book, magazine excerpt, and interviews, such as shifts in details about the encounter. That's because lying takes a lot of effort. You have to consistently keep up the lie, and it gets harder to remember details that you deep inside know didn't happen. That's how you catch someone in a lie. If it feels like someone had to rehearse an answer, it's most likely a lie. If something really happened to you and they ask what happened here, you would know exactly how it happened every time. Old social media post and lifestyle. Post about sexual topics, including sex tips from her dog, and naming pets Tits and Vagina T Fireball were used to question her claimed trauma and shame, political motivation, and funding. Trump's team argued Carol had a political agenda as a Democrat funded by opponents like Reid Hoffman, making her claims implausible and biased. Emotional response inconsistencies. The defense pointed to mismatches like claiming shame, but also fear, and not exhibiting expected trauma behaviors. You see, this is the problem with false accusations. You have to send lawyers to go defend you against lies, and they can only defend you by attacking the accusations. And so it gives the accusations like some credibility. Think of it this way. If you and your spouse got into an argument, maybe one of you is accusing the other of cheating, infidelity. Maybe the one person says, if you didn't cheat on me, then why were you here at this time when you're usually not there at that time? And then the spouse getting accused goes, yeah, but the reason I was here at that time was because of this, not because I was cheating. See, I'm right. Instead of just saying, no, you're being ridiculous. You're acting crazy. None of that happened. This conversation is over because the spouse getting accused knows I didn't do anything wrong. So it's ridiculous to me to even hear this. And I don't want to defend where I was because I wasn't doing what you think I was doing. I don't have to justify myself to you. The great thing about our legal system is that everyone gets their day in court. But what's also bad about our legal system is that everyone gets their day in court. Every claim gets litigated, and it takes one corrupt judge to sympathize with the accuser. And in this instance, it was a political case. The judge hated Donald Trump. The people funding the lawsuits were people like Reid Hoffman. And so we got a civil judgment holding him liable for something that should be a crime. And you know the reason they held him civilly liable is because the statute of limitations had expired. It just annoys me so much. Think of this. You get accused of doing something. You defend yourself through the public because the accusations were done publicly. There's no police report. It's been 2 decades since that thing supposedly happened. So you defend yourself. You react the right way by saying, no, this is BS. This is a hoax. She's a con. And then she sues you for defaming her.
I've got culinary chaos sauce on my Christmas list. Tournament of Champions All-Star Christmas, where the first time ever All-Star chef duos go head-to-head for their charities while facing the Merry Menace. It's TOC with epic
by calling her a con and calling it a hoax. And then a jury, not of your peers, but of the worst people that hate you, all Democrats in New York, they say you're liable civilly for accusations that should get you liable criminally. Do you understand how weird that is? These false accusations really bother me because a man's career, a man's life can be wrecked by one woman coming out and saying, he did that to me. How many athletes have you seen this happen to? A guy with millions of dollars and lots of fame. He's an eligible bachelor with a lot of women that want him. He uses that attention to his benefit and in a way uses one of these women to pleasure himself and maybe doesn't give her a relationship. And because she might have thought he wanted to be in a relationship with her, now she feels duped and feels dumb and feels used. She raises her hand and says, it was the R word. And that guy's reputation and career is wrecked if he's not already retired. He has to spend millions on lawyers. And after months, years in the legal system, he finally gets acquitted, but his reputation and everything else about him have been destroyed. I'm not saying those things don't happen. There are real victims, and this is bad for them too. No one takes these things as seriously anymore because everyone gets accused. As a society, we have to apply common sense to everything. Donald Trump at 50 years old was 6'3", lean, rich, famous, beloved by all kinds of women. He definitely indulged, for sure. He was married multiple times, had a lot of girlfriends, and I'm not going to accuse him of being monogamous to all of them. They want us to believe that because he's like a power-hungry person who wants to get what he can't have, that he was willing to do something like this. I will never believe that. Thank you all very much for watching. Let's see what the Supreme Court.
Okay, that was the one that came out a minute ago. So, a lot of good stuff out. We got quite a bit out tonight. So, Conservative Cowboy, thanks for putting in Intel chat. We missed you a long time. Been a long time. Thank you. And hope you had a good day. And okay, like always. And what else? So, everyone, God bless everybody. Love all. Remember, please hit like and stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith. Never give up. And choo. Chico's back out of his nap, so he's going to be wound up. Aren't you? Aren't you? You going to be all wound up? All right, so signing out. I'm going to wait 30 seconds. We'll wait 30 seconds here. Maybe 2 hours. Hey, you. So signing off. Chico Dude and Ariella. And we'll see you tomorrow night at 5. And yeah, all the names that came in tonight, all the old ones. Good to see you all, Elvis, everybody. So we'll see you all at 5 the new time. Have a good one, everyone.